This is Kyle Davis with Taylor Ryan, and we're here today for episode 5 of our interview series. This podcast is brought to you by Taylor Ryan, a strategic search and talent acquisition partner specializing in construction and engineering, real estate, development, and accounting and finance, and made possible by Hire Technologies, redefining the future of talent acquisition. If you're building a team or looking for your next career move, more info at taylorryan.com. Also, this podcast is now in proud partnership with the Vancouver Regional Construction Association. With over 700 members, VRCA is BC's largest and most inclusive organization, a business hub for ICI, residential, and high-rise construction companies. VRCA provides resources to be informed, competitive, and successful now and in the future. To learn more about membership and benefits, visit vrca.ca for more information. This month, we're joined by Ryan O'Shea, Vice President of Miracon Developments, Director of Residential Development at Mitchell Group, and President of Boxing BC. Mitchell Group is a family-owned company based in Surrey that operates a development portfolio of home building, property management, and retail industries. For more info, there you can see Miracon.ca. Ryan, I know you to be engaging in conversation, passionate about community engagement and involvement, big on family. I'm very happy to have you here, especially as you must be an expert at balancing many schedules. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. That introduction made me feel like I'm on the Tim Ferriss podcast, so now I'm nervous.
Perfect. Well, that must mean the podcast is heading in the right direction. What has been the greatest success in your career to date?
Yeah, I think on the business side, we've had a number of achievements at Miracon. We've been named Best Single Family Builder in Greater Vancouver for the last 4 years. But I think our biggest success was the Avid Diamond Award we received in 2020, and then the Georgie Award this past year for Best Customer Service. So about 5 years ago, I realized we needed to do a better job on the customer service side of things. And that actually all started with a dinner I had in California at the French Laundry. And I realized what exceptional customer service was from that experience. And I thought, if I'm going to dinner somewhere and paying, whatever it is, a plate, and I get better customer service than our homeowners get when they buy $1 million home, we need to do better. So at that point, we really overhauled our core values with a focus on creating memorable experiences for our buyers. And collectively, our team is really focused on that. And as a result, we received the Avid Diamond Award, which for Best Customer Service in Canada in 2020, and the Georgie Award for Best Customer Service in BC this past year.
What a great perspective to take from having, a brilliant dining experience to reflecting on the customer service that you're giving at your company. Mm-hmm. That's definitely keeping your eye on the ball.
Yeah, and I think the industry as a whole, the building industry gets a bad rap for, the prices that homes are in Greater Vancouver and potentially the lack of customer service that happens after the key turnover. And I just saw that as low-hanging fruit, and there was a real opportunity for Miracon to define itself as a customer-oriented builder. And so that's what we're doing.
What is the most memorable lesson that you've learned in the construction industry?
Yeah, it's all about your team, I would say. I think it's twofold. It's all about your team, putting together your team. And as I mentioned earlier, we spent a good 6 months, maybe even 8 months, revising our core values about 2 years ago. And so those core values anchor the Miracon brand and our culture. And so I hire for those core values now. And at the end of the day, if people don't believe in the company's core values, then it's probably not going to be a fit in the long run. And one of those core values that's most important to us is creating a memorable experience. So I will not hire anyone, and I mean from a laborer up to a senior manager, a project manager, a site supervisor, unless they believe that our customers are at the heart of what we do. And that they're committed to creating that memorable experience for our buyers during the construction process and well after the key turnover. So that's at the heart of what we do.
Nice. And I mean, you've even already answered one of the questions that I haven't asked yet, which is, what do you look for when you interview someone? And, obviously you're looking for that emphasis on customer care and, commitment to that value, and as well as an alignment to your other values at Miracon. So how do you ask those questions in an interview? Because obviously you're sort of leading the witness, as it were, if you just say, what is the importance of extraordinary client care, right? You're almost giving the answer. So how do you kind of frame that question in the interview to get an authentic sort of answer?
Well, I think I learned something from Ray Dalio from his book Principles about hiring practices and hiring for fit. And, I think for so long companies have hired for needed skills. And I actually think skills is now third on my list. And I've learned this from Ray Dalio. It's fit, it's abilities, and then it's skills. If someone fits within your organization and they have the abilities to learn and grow, they'll learn the skills. So, I don't mean to overemphasize that, because obviously there are skills you need. If you're hiring someone to be your CFO or your accountant, they have to have those hard skills. But overall, if someone has the abilities and they fit your company, they're a cultural fit in the long term, they'll learn whatever skills that they need to. So, I look now at fit and abilities, then skills. In terms of those questions, I think it's a tough one, because often in interviews, people will read your core values, they'll go onto your website, and they'll often tell you what you want to hear. So we, generally speaking, have at least 2 interviews. The first one will be conducted by myself and my director of operations, Ron Enns. And then we have a bigger second interview, which would include our project manager and our site supervisors. And we debrief afterwards on whether or not this individual is going to be a fit for us, whether they clearly embrace our core values and are not just saying that they do, and whether we see them being with us for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. And getting, perspective from, a number of people that are already in your organization and already committed to those values, that's going to help out a lot. Right? I definitely think that's a really strong interview process. The more people you can get involved in. Also, I think just from a cultural perspective has secondary benefits, right? I mean, you're demonstrating to that project manager or that superintendent that, hey, you are just as much a part of this company as I am. And, so I need your input on hiring this next person.
Yeah. Great
strategic move. What principles guide your conduct and decisions in business?
Yeah, it's funny when I look at our core values that we have on our wall, and I talk about core values a lot. It was interesting, about 6 months ago, I realized the core values that Miracon have are very similar reflection of the core values I think that I have as an individual. So, you can't have core values on a wall of your organization that aren't also core values that you adhere to on a daily basis. So our first core value is to pursue excellence. Our second core value is create a memorable experience. Our third core value is to encourage spirited teamwork. And our last core value is to build a sustainable legacy. And so I think that pursuit of excellence and that building a sustainable legacy is something that my father-in-law has taught me, my wife, and my brother-in-law. It's, this isn't something we're doing for the short term. Whatever it is that we're invested in or involved in or we're building, this is something we're doing for the long term. So, our brand is a reflection of the family, and it's going to be a reflection of our family for generations to come. We don't build for ourselves. We don't grow companies for ourselves. It's for, the future generation. So for my kids and my brother-in-law's kids. And so I keep that in mind at all times, that this isn't, something we're doing for the short term, looking to make a big profit or a huge return on in the next 5 years. This is something we're hopefully building for 20 and 40 years.
Nice one. Yeah. And I mean, it's a great, short, concise list of values, which is important as well. Because, if you have 14 values, is that really a value system, or are you just, using a bunch of positive descriptive words?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But excellence, client experience, teamwork, and legacy. Nice. What makes a good leader?
Leadership more and more is about collaboration, I think, and involving your team. I try my best to look at everyone who works for Miracon as colleagues, and we, generally speaking, make decisions collectively and that reflect our core values and in their best interest of us individually and the organization. So very rarely do I ultimately have to make a dissenting decision. And so I think good leaders are good collaborators. Obviously, a good leader needs to inspire his team, or her team. But I just think that, leadership is about collaboration and inspiring buy-in and investment from your team members. And as long as you're collectively working towards the same goal and everyone believes in that goal, I think the organization is going to be successful.
Yeah, that's a really important point you made about everybody, believing in the same goal, having the everybody on the ship rowing in the same direction, as it were, makes a huge difference. What is the best thing about working in construction?
Building community. the thing I love the most is, driving through our old projects that are now completed. And you do see families, living in those communities, and we've got 350 unit single family subdivisions that are completed now, fully landscaped, and driving through those, there's certainly a sense of pride that you helped build a community where families live and grow and spend their lives. So I think, yeah, the most rewarding part is when a project's completed and you get to drive through it and see that families are actually living in the community you built.
How do you maintain high performance without running into burnout? I mean, you're, an executive at two different companies. You're the president of Boxing BC. I know you're also involved in some charitable organizations. So very busy guy. So how do you balance all of that with a little bit of, relaxation and reflection?
Yeah, I don't know if I manage it that well, to be honest. I think I take on too much at times. But I think it comes down to your team. And I'm at Miracon. I'm very lucky to work with an incredible group. Our director of operations, Ron Enns, Mark DeBrule, Dale Seward, Murray Lighting, all of them, I think, step up in my absence if I'm not there. And so I have trust in my team to direct the organization if I'm not there. It really is all about your team and being able to take a step back and get the rest you need if you do. But I don't think I do a great job. I don't experience burnout because I think I love what I do. I love working at Miracon. I love what we're building. I love the company's culture. I think it's important to give back, and that's where my community involvement comes in. I've been involved in amateur boxing for 30 years as an athlete and now as the president. And I think that's the big point I give back. It's interesting because boxing is a unique sport and it caters to a lot of at-risk youth. And so I see boxing and facilitating support for at-risk youth as a way for me to give back. So it never drains me. Boxing always kind of energizes me. And I think it's important that everyone finds something to do in their community or in their organization to give back. Fortunately, a lot of us are in a great situation and been very blessed. So to me, giving back is important. And that's why I try to stay involved with boxing and then the Langley Memorial Hospital Foundation.
Right. I think it was Simon Sinek that said working hard for something you believe in is called passion, and working hard for something that you don't believe in is stress. Right. So, you've plugged yourself into, a companies, organizations, charities that you're passionate about. And so maybe that's actually your answer is, you don't mitigate burnout by balancing your schedule and having downtime. You've mitigated burnout by ensuring that you are only involved in things that you're actually passionate about.
I don't think that, clearly Simon Sinek said it best, but it's a mindset. And so, if you don't genuinely love what you do, then you need to find something else to do. And I've been very fortunate, even when I was teaching, I never woke up and thought I'm going to work. My work has always been an extension of me and my values and the way I live my life. So I love teaching. I loved working with kids. I love building communities now. And I certainly love giving back to the communities that we build in. So, the advice for younger generations, if you feel like you're getting up every day and going to work and you're slogging through, 8 and 10 hour days and you don't love it, then you need to find something else, because you should wake up every day excited to go to work, because your work is an extension of who you are.
See, and you did it again. You answered one of the questions that I haven't asked yet, which is, what advice would you give to young professionals? And it sounds like it would be exactly what you just said. If you wake up every day and you feel like you're grinding and you're not loving what you do, you're not passionate about it, you feel like you're running into burnout, then find something else. Find something that you are passionate about, at least to a degree, enough to get that fire burning, and then you can go from there.
Yeah. And, I think about what advice to give to younger generations of kids coming up in the world or people passionate about business. And yeah, you definitely have to go out there and explore where your passion lies. My other piece of advice is be patient. And I think I really picked this up from Gary Vaynerchuk, who's like, you have lots of time. At 25, you can still fail in whatever industry you go into, whatever business you start, whatever job you start 5 times, and you still have time to find your passion. So I've always raced forward, and I think patience has never been a virtue of mine. I'm getting better at it as I get older because I realize there's always time. And so you don't have to become the shift manager or the superintendent or, a senior manager by the time you're 28 or 30. You've got time to do there. So catch your breath, enjoy the ride, and love what you do.
What do you think marks a good company culture?
there's a lot of companies even in Greater Vancouver and in our industry that like I look up to and I aspire. There's a lot of great builders in the Fraser Valley. I look for companies that are invested not only in their business and for me in particular in construction, but companies that invest in the community, who build a culture, who have a great team. I think it tells you a lot when the employees speak highly of the organization they're a part of. And so for me, I think the mark is the testimony that your employees give of the organization. They know the organization best. So there's often a perception of what a company is based on, in my industry, the homes they build, the communities they develop. But what does their team say? What do the employees say about that organization? Because I think that's the true mark. When you see a company that's had employees for 10 plus years and a number of them, they're doing something right. And they're obviously taking care of their employees. They obviously have built a culture that people want to be a part of. And so I think that legacy mark obviously is about, building, specifically in the construction industry, developing community, but building up a team that wants to be with you and build your brand for the long term.
So tenure actually being a great indicator of employee satisfaction and engagement and the level of their experience. If we could boil it down to something a little bit oversimplistic, but I think it's a good point. If you have a number of employees who have stayed with you for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, then you must be doing something right. What is the best advice that you've ever received? Or maybe just, some of the most memorable advice that you've ever received?
I'm going to lean on Ray Dalio again, and I probably only read this about a year ago, but don't confuse your goals and your desires. I think, we have a lot of desires, and a lot of those are short term. And it's good to chase them, but like keep your goals at the forefront, and goals are often, medium to long term. And so don't confuse what you want in the short term for what you're trying to accomplish in the long term.
Interesting. Do you remember if he specified how you distinguish your goals from your desires?
I think desires are, something quite visceral and ultimately short term. And, Ray Dalio is really great at not discrediting the fact that desires are great to chase, and everybody has them and everyone should chase after the desires, but to contextualize that or balance it against your goals, which are often larger, more ambitious, and as I said, medium to long term, 5 or 10 years. So separating those, 3 or 4 big goals from the plethora of desires that come at us each day.
Yeah. What book was that from?
Principles.
Okay, I have listened to that one. It's been a few years for me. Is that a book that you would recommend?
It's probably the best book I've read in the last 2 years.
What project are you most excited about right now?
Well, we're working on a 106 unit townhouse site in Langley called Foundry. We're about 60% sold out right now. And then after that, we've got a beautiful 55 site single family coming up. So, we're going to be building, Miracon's got 160 plus homes in the Latimer area of Langley coming up. And then I'd say we've got about 500 units coming up in the next 5 years. Truth be told, my project I'm most excited about is actually not construction related. I started a scholarship called the Ignite Business Scholarship with Darian Kovac from Jelly Marketing, Ryan Moreno from Joseph Richards Group, and a vice principal from the Surrey School District named Mike Sweeney. And it's been a passion of mine. I've always wanted to provide a student with a full ride academic scholarship. And this year, fortunately, I'm going to be able to do it for the first time. So applications have been submitted, and we are going to provide a full ride academic scholarship to a Langley or Surrey student at the end of June. For 4 years, and that scholarship comes with mentorship for all 4 years, as well as summer internships at Miracon, Mitchell Group, Jelly Marketing, and the Joseph Richards Group. So to be honest, the project I'm most passionate about is the scholarship fund.
I knew you were going to say that, and I'm glad you did. If someone's looking for more information about that scholarship program, where can they find it?
Yeah, our website is ignitebusinessscholarship.ca.
Great. Well, that's it. That's all the questions I have for you. So thanks again for joining us. And for those of you listening, make sure to follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn so you don't miss our next episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.